Hi, I'm Steph Harvey. I'm the CEO of Community First Development. I'm coming to you today to have a yarn. I'm on Ngunnawal and Ngambri country today, and as a Bidjara woman, I want to acknowledge that I am on this country and pay my respects to ancestors and elders, and acknowledge that as you tune in and have a listen to us, we'll be on land and sea countries all around this continent. I pay my respects to all ancestors and elders, and particular thanks to the traditional custodians for caring for this country that I'm lucky enough to be on. Community First Development recently published a fabulous report. It's the 3-year macro analysis of the work that we've been doing. And I wanted to talk about it with you today with two absolutely visionary Aboriginal women who I have enormous respect for. And I'm just so very grateful they're part of our organisation. Karen Milward, a Yorta Yorta woman, and Lauren Ganley, a Kamilaroi woman. Karen, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Thank you, Steph. So Karen Milward, I'm a Yorta Yorta woman, and I am chairperson of Community First Development. I've been involved since nearly the beginning. So we're, celebrating 20 years from 2020. And I think I've been involved for about 17 of those 20 years. So you can tell that I'm very passionate. I'm a big believer in the work that Community First Development does, and it's a pleasure being here today.
Fantastic. Lauren.
Hi, Lauren Ganley. I'm a director. I'm privileged to be a director on the Community First Development Board, and I've been on the board for about 3 years. And I'm also on the 2 subcommittees, the Research and Ethics Committee and the Finance. And yes, I want to acknowledge that I'm on Larrakia country and pay my respects to all the elders, past, present, emerging.
Thank you both. This report it's absolutely amazing, and we're so proud of it. I'd love to hear what you think about why this report is so important across the government landscape, particularly for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander affairs and policy. Karen, would you like to take that one?
Yeah, sure. I think one of the important things about having a report like this done is that because we are celebrating 20 years, it's important to record the impact that our work is actually having directly on grassroots communities across Australia. I think we have a very, dedicated professional community development team that has been working hard to look at a different type of framework to measure that impact. So usually companies will do evaluations sticking to a certain format, and we've actually done our format in a way that everyone can read. And that's what I actually love about this report, that it speaks to everybody. And it's really important that our Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander communities that we work with have an understanding of the impact that we're having, so then we can actually continue the great work that we're actually doing. I think the other important thing is that it actually speaks to the Close the Gap targets. And we know that Close the Gap was reviewed, and now a national agreement has been signed, and there's some key targets within that Community First Development are actually covering. And I think we can actually say that as a national Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander community controlled organisation, that we are actually doing a lot of work to meet the targets that have been set in that agreement.
I agree. And Lauren, just picking up on what Karen was talking about, it's not just the evidence, which we'll get to in a moment, but as Karen alluded, it's how we go about our business as well. Can you expand on that a little bit and why that's important?
Yeah, this report is really important because it, shows us three years of some really wonderful work that Community First Development is doing that people are not aware of. And the thing that I love most about being a part of Community First Development is the approach and the way that the organisation goes about its business. It, whatever work we do, it is about working with First Nations people. We wait to be invited in. We work side by side. We help to co-design. It's everything we do is in a culturally safe manner, and I think that we're an untold story that Australia needs to know about. And this report shows some wonderful case studies of where we're making an impact across Australia. So it's overdue. It's will hopefully influence policy in a really positive way. Thanks, Steph.
Thanks, Lauren, and thanks, Karen. For me, I certainly support what you're saying, and it just goes to the strength of our model. You know, we give agency to our community partners, and we do work in partnership. You've both mentioned co-design and partnership, and something that people may not know about our organisation is the way that we work through our really skilled staff, our experienced volunteers. Is community has control of this process the entire way. They invite us in, they identify what success looks like for them. And importantly, which underpins this report, is they do co-design and identify what success looks like. So evaluation is embedded totally through this process, and it starts from our first conversation. What does success look like for you, for your family, for your community? And it's important that that agency occurs so that it's not Community First Development who's driving this process, it is our community partners. So when you consider the process that we've undergone and the evidence that's in this report, what do you think is important about the way or why that information is collected? So Karen, you talked a little bit about closing the gap, and certainly the new national agreement on closing the gap touches on that strong partnership, that trusted relationship. So the information we're collecting, what would you like to see happen with that?
I think it's important that our communities that we work with have an understanding of the impact that we're actually having and that they have in working with us. So it's not like doing two. They're a part of, gathering that information. So what I like about our framework, it's also about our system that we have in place that's been developed, which is pretty awesome. And I can tell you now that not many organisations would have that system. So we're pretty awesome in that respect, I think. And just how all our volunteers, all our workers, everyone inputs into that system, all the data. So everything that gets done on the ground gets inputted, all the detail, and then it is collated, and then we can actually present it into a report like this. And usually that's not how evaluation gets done. So I think we're actually leading the way in relation to monitoring, reporting and evaluation, and how we actually do that with Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander communities. I think the other important factor about this is that they're part of the decision making, and we're not sort of, just collating and not going back and finding out what people think about that, and we can actually share that data and information with the communities we work with. And a lot of entities don't do that, and sometimes governments don't do that either.
That's true. That's a really good point. So when you consider the really strong culturally safe way we do our business, the way we collect information, and this report is full of evidence around the efficacy of our program, Lauren, with your years of experience of influencing, building relationships, who do you think should read this report?
Look, I think this report has many audiences, definitely government, people who want to invest in the work that we're doing. The most important thing that we do is build trust. So we build trust with the people who we work with. And, it's worth having a look at this report. There's some really wonderful anecdotal quotes in the report where people at the community level are saying, well, we want to work with you because we trust you, but you took the time for us to trust you. And when I think about the people who want to come and work at Community First Development, not just the staff, but the many volunteers, it's something that this is a place where people want to come and work with us to do meaningful work in the right way. So, so when I think about the audiences, there's many. There's, as I say, that government who are creating policy. Then there's investors who want to invest in the great way that we go about our work. And then, of course, volunteers that want to come and work with us. And of course, the most important people, the people on the ground, so that they can see, projects that are happening in other communities as well as their own. So, to think about, future possibilities for their own communities.
That's a really good point, and I agree with what you're saying. And that last point around, it's also showcasing for other communities what's possible. When we see it, we can believe it, and we know that it's possible for us too. And just to sum up what you're both saying, I think one of the key things for me is it's really important that this program, our organisation and our people get an opportunity to showcase the strength and capability and the absolute commitment of our people and our communities to thriving beyond the gap. We talk a lot about closing the gap, and that's in my mind, deficit language. It's closing the gap on Indigenous disadvantage. We're looking beyond the gap to thrive in communities. It's not enough just to reach parity. Why set our bar so low? We can move beyond that and thrive as individuals, families, businesses, communities. And the evidence that's in this report really goes a long way to showcasing the successes of our own people. I do encourage everybody who is tuning in today, our supporters, our volunteers, our staff, and certainly our community partners, to jump over to the website, have a look, download the report. And we're proudly a continual learning organisation. So if you have any questions, viewers joining us, please drop us a line. We'd be more than happy to answer your questions and engage with you around this. We are committed to taking this organisation from strength to strength in the future, and that will be part of that. So I think I will finish on that and ask each of you what you see as the future for community first development.
I think we should continue forever in a lot of ways. I believe that our organisation is actually going beyond the gap. And that's what this report is all about. I think about that, since 2000, we've actually delivered on 5,000 projects. So, I'd like to see another maybe 10,000 projects. And I think also for this report and where we're actually heading in the future, it's also about everybody else that works with our communities on the ground, that, they need to be in contact with us as well to look at how they can invest better in the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander communities in which they work in. It'd be really good if we could have, more employees on the ground across the country, so we can continue to grow and do the amazing things that we do. I think there's a key message for government to, recognise that we are a unique organisation in the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander community. Nobody else is actually doing what we're doing, and no one else actually has a fundraising program like we do, where, if I refer to the report and I refer to where we get broad public support, we have 75,000 people that have donated to community first development. So, and that's everyday people. So, why aren't other people with money donating to community first development in the work that we're doing? So that just shows the huge, wonderful impact that we're actually having.
Agreed. I'm just going to jump in before you, Lauren, because I do want to just emphasise that point that, we had over 70,000 financial gifts. That's enormous amount of support. And as we raise that publicly, it also gives us an opportunity to not entrench those stereotypes around Aboriginal people, communities, disadvantaged. This is a program where we are supported by everyday people and families right across Australia who believe in the success and the capability of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. So completely moving away from that deficit-based approach to success for us. Lauren, what would you like to see in our future? What's your vision for community first development?
Well, in the short time I've been with Community First Development, already I've seen the organisation go from strength to strength. And, in the last year we've had new rebranding, and which is, wonderful. And I think that this is probably our first big platform where we've been able to tell our story about how great we are, And I've seen many models. This model, to echo Karen, is absolutely unique. It works. It's being done in the right way. And yeah, I encourage other people to get on board with us in whatever capacity, whether it's come and work with us, come and be a volunteer, invest with us, because what we're doing is, I mentioned before, culturally safe, it's respectful, and it's inclusive, and this is a model that is going to help change our society.
Agreed. And, you know, I'm just sitting here listening to you both. I'm just so proud to have you as leaders of our organisation, because this video, Jan, was to promote this report and talk about the work we do and our strong evaluation practices and the evidence. And it's finished with a call to action around why wouldn't people come and join us and be part of a success story for our people and our organisation. And I love that you're both focused on that as part of our future. Thank you both for your time. And listeners, again, feel free, head over to our website. This is our report. We're on communityfirstdevelopment.org.au. Download the report. Have a yarn with us about it. We'd be more than happy to talk with you. Take care till we chat again. Bye.